This is the podcasting booth in Joyce Ackroyd. It's a 4-mic studio with the awesome Rodecaster system here. It's really, really easy to use. So I'm really keen to get more people in making the most of it. It's got an iMac as its main computer. So if you're not a Mac person, it might seem a little bit weird, but it's basically, we're just doing doing very basic things with it. So you're probably not going to have any trouble at all. Okay, so you can book this space now. Any student can. It's just a case of going to jacktech.com.au and then going through our equipment and facilities booking process. So it's all written on the site there. So all you have to do is go to jacktech.com.au and it'll take you through the process. The process is good because you can jump on and you can book any time you like in advance. We also have 3 audio booths that are bookable as well. Okay, so feel free to book those. 2 of those have a single mic and 1 has a double mic. But we'll be talking about the podcasting booth today, which has 4 mics. Okay, so when you come in, just a couple of things you need to turn on. Let me just point my microphone over towards the door. You'll see that there's 2 light switches. One is for the actual lights in the room, the other is an on-air sign. So if you turn this one on, then outside people will see an on-air light, which lets them know that they've got to be nice and quiet for you, so that they're not going to make any noises near your recordings. Next, you've got to make sure that the Rodecaster itself is turned on. So you'll see just over right at the front, let me just point my mic, at the Rodecaster, at the back in the corner, there's a little on button. So if you don't see any lights flashing, you know you've just got to turn it on there. Now, underneath the table here, we do have a cool amplifier. And down there, again, if you see no lights on, then you just need to go and find this switch down here, which is pretty well labeled. You just have to turn it on. It shouldn't really be turned off, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. The amplifier, you don't need to touch that at all, so please don't. All the settings have been preset to be exactly what we need. If something's still not turning on, just do check down the sides. We've got some PowerPoints, check that they're on. And then we've just got to turn on the Mac itself. So over here in the corner, right here, okay, you just have to pop that on and the Mac will start up. Then you just log in as per the normal process. Your UQ login will get you in. Okay, so let's just open the Finder window down the bottom here. And this is like the Explorer in Windows, okay, if you're not a Mac person. And from here, I go into Mac hard drive, Mac HD, and then I go into users. And then when you log in, you're going to see there's a folder here for your user account. So anything you save in there will be saved, but only you can access it, okay? I actually recommend that you go into Shared and save your work in there, as long as it's not sensitive in nature, because this means if you're working in a group, that the group will actually be able to access your files as well. And this is really handy, say if you record something and you need somebody else to be able to jump in and grab your files. So I'm going to make a new folder. I tend to put the date at the start of my folders just to make it easier to find them. And we'll call this one Studio Training. Okay, so this is my folder. I just have to remember where it is. And all of my files are going to be stored in that folder, okay? So it's a really critical one. And what I really recommend that you do is actually buy yourself a portable hard drive, because everything that you save on here, you're going to want to take away with you. So I recommend that you put it onto an external drive and take it out into the lab or take it home to do your editing. Okay, so save it here in this shared folder under a folder that you create, but at the end of the day, copy this whole folder, which should have all of your content in it, onto your personal drive, and then you should be good and should have everything for your recording, for your editing. Now, we aren't in the habit of wiping this drive, but just be aware that it could well fill up, and in which case we would wipe it. So the idea is you copy your content onto your own drive, but if the copy didn't work, or say you copied the wrong files, you should be able to come back in here and recover them again. So that's why we tend to keep things in the shared file, in the shared folder, so that you can access them again if you need to. Okay, so next I'm going to go into Audition and create a new session. Now we do have a workshop that goes through using Audition, or a video file you can run through at home. So I recommend that you jump onto that if you haven't already. That will take you through in a bit more detail what I'm doing now. But right now I'm creating a new session. I'm going to go into Audition, choose File, New, Multi-Track Session. Now this is where it asks you for a name. So I'll call it Training Project. And I'm going to save this into the folder that I created. So I'm going to choose Browse here and go into Mac HD, Users, Shared, and then Studio Training is the folder I created. So I'm going to select that folder. Now, in terms of sample rate and bit depth, I choose 48,000 Hertz for my sample rate. This might not mean anything to you, but I choose 48,000 because it makes it more compatible with video. So if I ever want to do a video project down the line, this is what I use. This is why I'm setting it to 48,000. For bit depth, this is a bit equivalent to resolution in images, I guess. The higher the number, the more high quality your recording is going to be. The thing is, 16-bit is a very good value, even though it's the lowest number here, but it's going to create file sizes that are a lot smaller and much more manageable. So if I'm just, unless I've got a lot of space, like you've got a computer with a lot of space and you've got a big drive, 16-bit is probably going to be fine for you. So I would set it to 16. Let's hit OK. All right, now I've got my tracks all ready. Now, the next thing I need to do is make sure that the computer is going to take audio from the Rodecaster here and not from somewhere else. So I need to go into Preferences and choose my audio hardware. Sounds a bit technical, but you'll see it's really just something you can copy. This is all in the training video as well, which we've got a link to that in the space, so you can sort of follow the video along if you need to, if you're having it first go. So let's go into Adobe Audition, Preferences, and we're going to go to Audio Hardware. And this is where I choose my inputs and my outputs. So under all the preferences, you can see there's lots of categories here. We've chosen Audio Hardware. I'm going to choose for default input, Rodecaster Pro Stereo, and for my default output, Rodecaster Pro Stereo. Okay, so that means I'm getting audio from the Rodecaster, and when I send audio out, it's also going to the Rodecaster. Okay, so I could switch the output to be built-in output, which means that the audio would just come out of the Mac speakers. And if I switched to built-in microphone, I'd be taking audio from, say, the Mac's microphone. But we won't be doing that in this case. So Rodecaster Pro Stereo for both input and output here. Hit OK. And now the Rodecaster is sending audio through. Nothing's happening yet because I've got the levels all set low on the Rodecaster. Let me just show you where you can adjust the levels. Right, so over here we have volume knobs for headphones 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I can bring the volume up or bring the volume down here. Okay. And this is where I set the levels of the headphones for each of the headphones in the space. There are 4 sets of headphones. Okay. So the next thing to look at is the input levels for the microphones. So each of the microphones in the space here is plugged into one of these 4 channels on the Rodecaster. Okay, channel 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I can bring the levels up here by pushing these sliders up. Okay, so pushing each of these sliders up. And I can now see some audio starting to bob up and down on the main controller, okay? So you can see here I've got green meters going up and down as my voice comes and goes. I'm going to bring down the 3 sliders for the microphones I'm not talking into at the moment. And you can see right here now, as I talk into this microphone, if you look closely, you can see that there's a little meter line here. One of the lines is a bit thicker than the others, and that's going to be showing you that that's the ideal position for where your audio levels should be hitting. So I'll adjust my slider until my volume is hitting about that level. Okay, and next of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about the actual technique that you use when you're recording into the microphone. With these microphones, they're actually designed to be spoken into quite close. Okay, so generally, when we talk about microphone positioning, we get people to put their mouth about 1 fist length away from the microphone. With these, you can go a little bit closer again. And that creates a good signal level for this particular microphone, and it means that your voice is very strong compared to the other noises in the space. Okay, so the next thing to do is to actually set up our first recording. So I've brought my audio levels up, and so now I should be able to see them in Audition. So looking back at my screen, I'm going to press the R button to arm this track, and I can see that I've got some level happening here. And then I'm going to record, testing 1, 2, 3, and you can see that some audio has actually popped up on this track. You can't hear it because I'm actually talking through my phone at the moment, but you can see that some audio has appeared here. I can make it a little bit larger here so you can see it a bit better. Now I would definitely, before recording, rewind and then just play back, so that I can listen to what I recorded. When you do this on the Rodecaster, what you need to do is actually look for the channel that has the little USB symbol on the top. Okay, and this channel is actually the output from the computer. So if I bring this up, I'm listening back to what's coming from the computer. So now if I hit play, I can actually hear the audio coming out from the iMac that's been recorded. So I would do this in order to test that my levels are okay and that the recording's happening okay on the TriCast. I mean on the Rodecaster, not the TriCast. Okay, and that's basically how you would do a recording in this space. It's really quite straightforward and quite quick. The only other thing I would tell you about is this extra feature, which is really cool. I'll just point to it here. You can see that there's a Bluetooth button here. Now what this means is if you press this button, you'll see that it starts flashing. And then you can take a device like your phone or like a laptop, anything that's Bluetooth compatible, and you can make a connection to that device. And once you've done that, the audio from the Rodecaster gets sent to that device, and the audio coming from the device comes through to the Rodecaster through this channel. So you can actually bring it up and down with this dial, okay? So if I was calling somebody overseas using Skype, I could actually have Skype on my phone, connect to it that way. They hear me through the desk and the other people in the room, and their audio is coming through this channel, so I can just bring it up like this, okay? So once you've done that, you've completed your recording. It's just a case of quitting out of Audition, and then jumping back into your into Finder to find your folder. So here's my studio training folder. I can look in here and see, here's my Audition project. If you look further, you can find your recorded files in here. Okay, and then I can jump back, and I would just copy this whole folder onto my own hard drive and take that away for editing. Okay, and that's everything that I wanted to cover. Feel free to book this space now and bring your own project in. I very much recommend that you come in and have a go on your own before attempting to contact a high-profile interviewee, just so that you can get confident and get efficient with the equipment before you get started. As I mentioned, there's a more detailed video available on the Watch MaPS YouTube page, which you can go through more of these steps in more detail. So just head over to jacktech.com.au and we've got a link to our videos there. And there's also another video on audition editing as well, which is going to help you in post when you've brought all of your audio parts together. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to cover. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming along, and I'll talk to you again soon.